Hi, and welcome to GradStats 2024 Lab Series. In Lab 1, we are working with data. And this first lab builds your skills to use the JASP interface for basic tasks such as importing a data file, cleaning the data, exploring, and evaluating the internal consistency of scale items in preparation for making scale level variables. Now the materials you'll need are the Survey 2024 Lab1 CSV file and the codebook from the SPSS Survival Guide. Both of these are linked in the description, so download these and we'll get started. When you first open JASP, you get to this welcome splash page, indicates which version you're working with, and gives you options to open some data or bring in your own data. So you're going to need your CSV that you would have downloaded, and you just browse to where you have that saved. So I went to Open, Computer, and then Browse. And Survey 2024 Lab 1 CSV. And the first thing we have to do when we import data into any statistical software is check it out to see that it imported all the variables correctly. So right here we see that it imported ID as a scale level variable. But when we look at our codebook, we can see that ID is just an identification number of the participant. So it's not really a scale variable, it's more of a nominal variable. And we need to let JASP know that. We can do that by clicking on the icon and changing it to nominal. Sex will be a categorical variable, so that's good. Age is continuous. Marital, here JASP thinks of it as ordinal, and that would be that whatever 1 is coded is higher ranking than whatever is coded as 2, which is not the case for marital status. So we want that to be a nominal as well. And then education, that one could be ordinal because it goes up. Like if we look at the code book, we see that education goes from primary through postgraduate. So it is in a ranked kind of order. So that one you could leave as ordinal, or you can change it to nominal. Nominal works anyway. Source, according to our code book, the major source of stress in these different areas. So that's not going to be ordinal. It's going to be just nominal. And then smoking, if someone smoked or not. So we still need to set the values for these. In other words, sex is not just 1 and 2. Sex refers to males and females. So 1 is going to be males, and 2 is going to be females. And the way I got there is I double-clicked. And I tabbed off of it, and it loaded all those names into the variable on sex. And I can close this. And if I want to fill in this one, I can double-click, and it opens up this details area for me. So for marital, there's 8 labels. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the labels for marital, child, education, source, and smoke. And notice in our source, which is the major source of stress area, we only have coding through number 7, but it looks like there's also some 8s and 9s there that we can see right here when we're coding. But the codebook does not tell us what those are, so we're just going to leave them as 8s and 9s. After that, so we have ID set, we have the values for the categorical variables, age is continuous, and smoke number, how many cigarettes someone smokes per week. Those are both continuous. And we can even put a label in here too. We can say how many cigarettes smoked per week, so that if you're looking for it later, you know what that one's about. And all of these others, so OP1 through OP6, MAST, positive, negative, all of these are listed as ordinal, but we're going to need them as scale variables. So we'll go through and change all of those for the rest of the data set here to scale. Okay, with all of that done, this is a good time to save the data set. So save it in a folder that you know that you're going to be working with, and you're keeping your GradStats stuff available in. Alrighty, now that we've cleaned that up, we're ready to check out the items of a scale in terms of their internal consistency, because we want to create scale level scores, but we want to know that the items are going to hang together well. And what we'll work with first is the scale for total life satisfaction. And those are the items LifeSat over in here. There they are. LifeSat 1 through 5. And how do I know that? I look at the code book and I go down a little bit further here. We have life satisfaction scale is LifeSat 1 to LifeSat 5, and it's on a 7-point Likert scale. So we're going to first check out the internal reliability of these 5 items. How well do they hang together? In JASP, what you'll need is another module here. Like here's the modules that JASP comes with, but we need to add a module for reliability. So I hit this plus, show modules menu, and then I scroll down to reliability, and checking that, it puts it up in our menu ribbon there. So dropping down reliability, I can do unidimensional reliability. That's what we want. And here is where we're going to put the items that we want to check out. So I'll go to LifeSat. I want LifeSat 1 through 5 here in the variables area. And I can go ahead and edit this so that I know which reliability it is. So life sat reliability. And if I hit enter there, it sets it and it puts the little label on my results as well. So that's nice. Then in this analysis fold down area, I don't need McDonald's omega, but what I want is Cronbach's alpha. And I'd also like to know Cronbach's alpha if the item was dropped. So in our results here, we see that the total LifeSat reliability is coming in at 0.89. And across all of the items, all of them are above 0.7, which is what you're looking for, is that Cronbach's alpha is 0.7 or greater to indicate good reliability between the items, good internal consistency. I would point out that here, LifeSat 5, if we did not include LifeSat 5 in the total score, the Cronbach's alpha would increase to 0.896 from the 0.890 it is. So that indicates that this LifeSat 5 item might not be hanging as well with the others as it should. But because all of the Cronbach's alphas are over 0.7, there's no reason to mess with the scale that's been developed this way. So we'll just keep it the way it is. So now that we know LifeSat Cronbach's alpha is fine, what we're going to do next is compute the LifeSat total scale level score. And coming down to LifeSat here in our codebook, we see that we need to add all the items LifeSat 1 to LifeSat 5. So to do this in JASP, we're going to compute a new variable. So I'm going to move over in my panels to the data panel again. And now I'm going to this black cross that says add computed column. And when I do that, I want to give it the name that the codebook says we should use. So T LifeSat. And I'm indicating that I'm going to use a defining by using formulas. It's going to be a scale level. And then I hit create column. Now this gives me my computation area, and I can get it a little bigger by pulling down the data. I just have to get right there where my cursor changes to the double-sided arrow to be able to change size. So again, how do we compute LifeSat? Well, it's by adding all of the LifeSat items. So I can say I want to add right here LifeSat 1. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to take this out. Whenever something's not working out well in this compute field, you can delete it by dragging it to the trash can in the bottom corner there. So let me try this again. I'll go LifeSat 1 plus LifeSat 2, LifeSat 3, LifeSat 4, and LifeSat 5. There we go. Then I'll click the compute column now that I have my formula in there. And I can close this window now. If I scroll all the way to the right after all of those variables, now we have a column that is computed LifeSat right there. Okay, so we checked the reliability for the items in total LifeSat, and we computed the LifeSat total variable. Now we're going to do the same thing with total optimism. Looking at total optimism, we see in the code book that it's got reverse items. So we have an extra step to do before we can check the reliability and before we compute the variable for this particular one. So to get reverse items, we first have to compute them. So we're going to make new variables that are reverse coded items for those three in total optimism, OP2, OP4, and OP6. Again, we'll go to the computed column. We're in the data panel, and we'll add computed column. This one we can call OP2R. Indicate that I'm going to use the computing. It's going to be a scale level and create column. So there's our variable name at the top. Again, we can get here and pull the data down so that we can see what we have here. Now, to get reverse coding in JASP, it's pretty interesting. What you have to do is take the two ends and add them. What do I mean by that? Optimism could go anywhere from 1 to 5. So if I add those, 1 and 5, it's 6. So I'm going to subtract the variable from 6. And you'll have to watch that for anything that has a reverse coded when you're working it in JASP, because 1 and 4 is going to be different than 1 and 7, but you're taking the lowest potential and the highest potential score, adding them together to get like a starting value here. So for optimism scale, we're going to use the number 6. So I'm going to first put in my subtraction, and then on this first area, I'll put in the 6, and then on the second area, I'm putting OP2. 6 minus OP2 will give me the reversed OP2 item. I'll compute column, and now we have OP2 reversed over there at the end. So I'll need to do this 2 more times to get OP4 reversed and OP6 reversed. Same way. Now that I have my reverse coded items, I can do the reliability check on total optimism items. Now the way I select the items without getting the ones in the middle is I hold the Command or Control key while I'm doing selecting, and then I can put those over to the side. And then I want the 3 new ones, and I'll hold the Shift key because I'm getting all of the items in between as well. So again, I don't need McDonald's Omega. I'm looking for Cronbach's Alpha and Cronbach's Alpha if the item dropped. And it's kind of cool that you can see the results as you're making the changes over in the input panel. So it looks like our Cronbach's Alpha is coming in at 0.797, which is still above 0.7. There is no dropping that would make that any higher. But again, it's all over 0.7 anyway, so it looks like the items used for optimism all hang together pretty well. So now we're ready to compute the total optimism skill level score. We'll go back to our data pane and add computed column. We want the name being provided in the code book so that we keep it all consistent. And here we want to add all the scores, but remembering to use the reverse items for 2, 4, and 6. So I'm going to want OP1 plus OP3 and OP5, but then I'm going to scroll to the bottom to add OP2R, OP4R, and OP6. Then I'm ready to compute the column and close the variable window here. So now I have total optimism scale computed. So good, that's what we needed to do in JASP. What we want to do here is save the data set again, make sure that it's saved. And we're going to want the results. The way that you get the results file, there's a couple ways. You can do the drop down here and do export results from that point, or you can get to the same thing by going to your menu and export results. Results are going to export as an HTML file in JASP, so that's fine. We can do Lab1 results and save, and that will be an HTML file right there. So that if we open it up, it just opens as a web page. Cool. And that's how we do those things in JASP. So moving around in JASP, we see that we have to set the variables. We have to watch how they are imported. And we were able to navigate this new interface. We imported a CSV data file. We were able to evaluate internal consistency, the Cronbach's alpha, for a couple of variables, and then created their skill level variables. So good job, and we'll see you next time.